Good morning, everyone. My name is Joshua Campbell Torrance. I'm the executive director here at the Bennington Museum. And today we have a fun and interesting story of scandal and outrage happening here in Bennington sometime in the past.
Hi, this is Callie Recipici, the collections manager here at the Bennington Museum. And today we are going to talk about the public apology by James Hicks to Mrs. Margaret Adams, whom he slandered and accused of being a lewd woman. Those accusations, he later confessed, were false. This apology is not something that he created out of the goodness of his own heart. They were both members of Bennington's Old First Church, and the Old First Church had its own moral code and its own, you could say almost court system, and they would try members of the congregation for sins such as adultery, intemperance, going dancing, going to see the circus, slandering the minister, other crimes that they considered punishable, and not things that good members of the church should not be doing. They wanted to be a beacon on the hill, so to speak. So James Hicks was courting Mrs. Margaret Adams. They were both older. She was recently widowed. He as well had recently lost his wife. And he claimed that he wanted to marry her. And when she refused his advances, he went and accused her of being a lewd woman to anyone who would listen to him. And she, of course, was very upset by this and fought back. And we don't know exactly what she said about him, but apparently it was not very nice. They were both members of the church, and the church called both of them in and to put them to trial. And during the trial, they were both found guilty. But the church decided that since Margaret Adams had, there had been certain exciting circumstances that had caused her to say these things, these rude things about Mr. Hicks, they would pardon her if she would write a worthy confession. And she wrote a confession, submitted it to the church, and the church decided that it was not quite penitent enough, it was not humble enough, and she wasn't fully confessing her sins in a penitent enough manner. And if she would just do this, they would not excommunicate her. Clearly, she was convinced that she was fully innocent in this situation, and she refused to write that confession. And so she was excommunicated. James Hicks was also excommunicated, and he also tried to appeal his excommunication. And the church had him write this confession, and this one in particular has been sent to a man in Salem who has a little note from Margaret Adams' son saying that he hears that the recipient has heard the slander about his mother. This proves it false. And the person who has received this has also taken this note and forwarded it on to someone else. Knowing the way rumors spread, I doubt that the apology made it quite as far as the original rumors, but it's nice to know that they tried. In the end, both members were excommunicated from the church, so it's not really a happy ending for anyone. James Hicks continued to live and thrive in Bennington. Margaret Adams, I was not able to find out exactly what happened to her. And that's what we know.
Thank you so much, Callie, for that piece of Bennington's history, a scandalous piece of Bennington's history to be sure, but thank you so much. There's lots of different stories here at the Bennington Museum, and that's what's so interesting about a museum like this, is that it's full of interesting stories. Some of the stories come from history that we've gained and passed down. Some of that comes from the history of the objects that we have, and some of our objects tell fascinating stories. There's really a never-ending supply of stories here in the Bennington Museum. Those stories help us understand our past and help us make sense of our past. It's hard for us right now during these times of separation. We hope that you're enjoying these tours at 10 and that you're feeling connected to our world through these tours at 10 and to our community. If you're enjoying them, please comment them in the comments down below. If you have ideas of what else you'd like to see, we'll do our best to get them up. In the meantime, we know, of course, that history is happening now. And we ask you to stay strong, to stay safe, and to stay creative. Together, we're going to get through this, and we can't wait when we're all back together sharing stories like we heard today here at the Bennington Museum.